All right, it is 11 a.m., so we'll go ahead and get started here with our presentation. We have Gerard Welch from Collect Vacations joining us today. He's going to be presenting on the Irish Splendor trip that we have organized as a group trip through MWR for November 13th through the 20th of this year, 2025. And I am going to hand it over to Gerard, and he's going to start his presentation. And if you have questions, feel free to put it into the chat box if you have access through Teams. If not, we'll open up the mics at the end as well to have a question session. So welcome, Gerard.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Stephen, for the introduction. Good morning. I think it's still morning. I forget the times. Glad to be here. I believe this is the first presentation that I've done for the MWR Leisure Travel Office. And I wanted to briefly just kind of give an introduction to who I am, how long I've been with the company, and a little bit of information about Colette. So this presentation, we're going to be showcasing our Ireland trip for November, and a little bit of background information. I've actually been with Colette for about 7 years, and I just recently moved back to Michigan. I'm born and raised in the greater Detroit area, and I've been in the travel industry for about 10 years. In fact, I think, Stephen, when you and I first met, we talked about our educational background. I think originally you were going for like tourism and hospitality. I equally didn't even realize that was an industry until I pursued my master's in it, and it's a really fun position, or I guess employment, or the industry is really fun to be in. So I've travel is one of the most fun activities you can do in your life if you've never been anywhere. Right? Maybe this is your first trip. You're thinking about going to Ireland for your first trip. I've been to 4 different continents. I've been to 26 different countries myself. Just going out in the world, meeting new people, learning about their history, their culture. They're curious about us just as much as we're curious about them, and it's just wonderful activity to do in your life. There's also been numerous studies to if you are thinking about bringing any family or maybe your children on this particular trip, there's been numerous studies that show when we enrich young children or young adults with travel, they tend to continue that activity later on in life. So I just like to showcase just some photos of me being a little kid and my dad there, having me going travel the world. I was actually in Belize in that photo. So yeah, travel, it's just great. Glad to have you all here. And I want to talk a little bit about Colette. If you're not familiar with us, you've never heard of us before. Colette is a family-owned, operated company based out of Providence or Pawtucket, Rhode Island. If you've never heard of anyone from that area, just turn on Family Guy. That is the accent from that area. But we've been in service for 107 years, if you can believe that. That's what, 1917, so right at the end of World War One, and we're still going. We survived World War One, World War Two, multiple wars in between, depressions, recessions, and we're still going strong. In fact, if you hopped on early here, I had mentioned that we just paid back all of our loans from the COVID-19 era, and we're now debt free as a company, and we're still continuing to go forward. With this trip and with all of our trips, here's just a slide of what's included on our trip. So we do have private concierge service that's going to take care of your luggage. We actually are going to send you documentation before your trip, probably about 3 weeks to a month prior. That's going to have luggage tags. It's going to have your full itinerary. Steve and I will handle the airfare for the group, the flying to and out of the destination. We also include a tour director who's going to be with the guests throughout the whole entire experience. Matter of fact, they're actually going to be at the same hotel properties as all of the guests. They are local, so they will be able to speak English and probably Gaelic if you want to give your hands a try in that language. We do try to include most cultural experiences for the guests, and we do have all the transportation included, both here in Michigan as well as there while we're in Ireland. So Steve and I will have to probably coordinate this a bit depending on how many people sign up for this trip. But we do include a hometown pickup. So what that means is we'll essentially pick everybody up from a centrally located area. If you don't want to drive to the airport, you don't want to leave your car in the parking garage and pay, I don't know, $15, $20 a day. Don't worry about that. We want to make sure this is hassle free as possible for you. So we will include a pickup to and from a centrally located area for you as a guest. So let's dive into our trip. This one's going to be our Irish Splendor, which is about 8 days. It does have all inclusions such as four-star accommodations. This is great for people who are into photography. Maybe you've never been to Ireland before, or maybe you've only been to Dublin kind of as a gateway or layover going into other areas in Europe. This is a great introduction into Ireland. Sometimes we do get guests on these presentations or in these meetings that have like lineage that comes from like County Clare or Kerry. That tends to be the most two common areas. If you do have any family over there that you want to connect, it's not uncommon for like guests to reach out to like a local, maybe even a church, and want to connect with them. So you'll have some free time to do that. Um, this is just a map of where we're going, where we're staying. The numbers indicate how many nights we spend in a particular destination before we go to our next destination. So as you can see, we're going to spend 2 nights in Dublin, the capital. Then from there, we're going to start heading down southwest. We'll make a little stop at Cashel, then to the famous Blarney Castle. We'll stop in Killarney for 2 nights, and this is an area that's very climate wise different from the rest of Ireland. I've seen photos of even palm trees along the coast, but there's, I believe, the first designated national park in Ireland, and also the Ring of Kerry, which encompasses just south of the Dingle Peninsula there. We're Cliffs of Moher. You've probably seen numerous like travel magazines or maybe Instagram photos of people hanging their legs over the edge. I personally, I couldn't do that. I've never ridden a roller coaster, so I'm a little afraid of heights, but go for it if you want to do it. Then we'll head if you look at the time of the year that we're going, we would consider this more an off-season time of the year. It's going to have very, very much less crowds, which creates a more intimate experience for you as a guest. Right now, in our industry, there's a common terminology that we use, and that's over tourism. And unfortunately, due to COVID-19, a lot of destinations are just flooded with tourists. So these off-season tours or low-season tours, such as this Ireland program, is really great because there's going to be far less crowds and you're just going to have a way better experience with just the local accommodations, the local people there. You'll get to know them one on one, and also preserves a lot of the heritage here too. So it says day two in the bottom left corner because the first day is going to be an overnight flight. We do take care of the flight arrangements for the guests, and I have a little special that I'll talk about later on. Once we arrive at our arrival airport, there will be a tour director who's going to meet all the guests. Sometimes they have a sign that says Colette. Sometimes they have a flag that pole that says Colette. Sometimes they're wearing a big green jacket. It looks like they just played a game of golf at the Masters tournament, and they'll greet you there. So either way, the director is going to be there with the driver. They'll assist with loading up your luggage onto the vehicle, and then we're going to take you over to our first accommodation for check-in. But our day starts in Dublin, also known as the Fair City. I believe it is known. It won an award for being one of the most literate civilian populations in the world. I believe it's the sixth city in that ranking, and it is the largest city in all of Ireland in itself. There's some famous attractions here, such as St. Patrick's Cathedral, Trinity College, the books of where the Book of Kells is located, O'Connell Street, and then there's also like an old like postal office where guests tend to want to go for like a lot of photography. Um, so this tour is going to be in terms of activity level, a level one. So it's really, really easy. It's not very strenuous. We will be motor coaching quite a bit through the city, but we will have some time to get out and just kind of do a lot of like independent exploration, self exploration. It's going to be like temperature wise anywhere from like low 40s to like low 50s. It really doesn't fluctuate more or less from that range. So it's nice to kind of be in that vehicle and have the warmth, but also have the ability to kind of get out of the vehicle and do some exploration. So you can see Oscar Wilde's statue here just laying back there. Today on day 3, this is going to be very much more of a sightseeing day, because the day before, that day 2, that's more kind of a, again, assimilated day, especially with the time change. This is going to be where we're going to see that St. Patrick's Cathedral, the O'Connell Street. We'll be able to walk around the National Gallery, and then also some of the other history that surrounds the area. So we'll drive down the Georgian streets. This is just another shot along the O'Connell Street, famous for its architecture here. And here's just another shot of just basically Dublin. But later on that afternoon, we will get away from the sightseeing, and this is where you will have some time to do some independent exploration. If you have any like bucket list items or must sees, Steven's going to get a list. He's going to actually get the email and the communication with the director. Just let us know, and we can send that over to the director to give you some options. But we do have an optional excursion available for the guests, and this is to visit the Guinness Storehouse and have a traditional Irish evening. So this is about 5 hours in length. It does include transportation to get to and from the storehouse, as well as a beverage that's included. So we do take the guests up to the Gravity Bar, and that's located at the top of the building, and it gives you a nice panoramic 360-degree view of Dublin. So you get some nice shots up there. But this is really going to be like your first taste of like local entertainment and just kind of wine and dine how the locals do here. If you are up for if you want to learn a little bit about the Irish dancing, there will be a demonstration later on. It is not uncommon, I will say, for volunteers to go up and try to do a little jig. If you want to do that, go for it. It's completely up to you. We do recommend that you purchase this option about 7 days prior to departure. Otherwise, you may face being declined to go into it. So they do require at least reservations to be made at least 7 days before departure. So we're going to continue along our journey, and now we're going to head down south, and we're going to depart Dublin, and this is where we're going to start to get more into the countryside. So you'll see the rolling hills, you'll understand why it's called the Emerald Isle, and we're going to stop over into the Cashel area, or the town of Cashel. And as you can see in the background, you can see the historic rock of Cashel. There is some historical religious history here, such as St. Patrick. This is where he basically he did ceremonies, and he also converted the King of Munster. There's also some stories with St. Patrick banishing Satan from the area, and there's a prominent rock that's placed here depicting a little bit of that story. So this is really our first taste of castle life. We'll have actually quite a few of these later on. I didn't mention it, but later on we actually stay in a castle ourselves. So I'll have some shots of that, which is really entertaining for the guests. We'll continue along our journey, and we'll stop over at the famous Blarney Castle. This is a very famous castle for a lot of people from around the world to come and visit. It originally was built around the 13th century, and then I think there was a couple different fires that took place, so it was rebuilt, destroyed, rebuilt, and then the final restoration took place in the 15th century. When we're walking the grounds, there is a garden that's nearby if you want to explore. But most of the time, what guests like to do is they like to walk along the steps, and there's about 270 steps, just to say it out there. There's about 270 steps going up, and you can see the famous Blarney Stone, which this guest is kissing here. Supposedly, this stone that was built along the castle wall was the coronation stone for the kings and queens, for the Irish kings and queens, and they place it into the wall here. And if you kiss it, it's supposed to give you the gift of eloquence. So hopefully all of you get the gift, and you'll be able to see the famous Blarney Stone. I've had some guests take shots of the area, and you'll probably see the groundskeeper here. He is actually a breeder of Irish Wolfhound, so they're absolutely massive dogs. So don't be afraid if there's like wolf-looking dogs running around. It startles some of the guests, but he's the groundskeeper, and he's been taking care of the castle for many, many years. We're going to end our day in Killarney. This is a small little town situated right along the southwestern portion of Ireland. It's just outside of the Ring of Kerry, which is about a 110-mile loop along the southwest portion of Ireland. We're going to take you over to a local restaurant, and we're going to have a nice little farm-to-table experience at the local restaurant. Day 5, we're going to start heading more north, and we're going to head over to the northwest area. This is the Dingle Peninsula. This shot really doesn't justify just how beautiful this area is. I would definitely encourage you as a guest, take a look and just Google search it. It's really, really cool looking. I don't know how they get like these motor coaches or these cars down here, but it'll give you a nice little viewpoint of just the coastline that stretches around 30 miles. You'll be able to see the mountains in the background. You'll see the coast of the waves hitting the rocks there. And really, it is quite remarkable. And I don't think this photo does it justice. But when we're in Dingle, you're going to have a few different choices on tour. These are not optional excursions. These aren't something you have to pay more money out of pocket. This is automatically built into the program itself. So if you want, excuse me, you can take a drive along Sleigh Head Road. This is a really spectacular route, great for photography. Once again, you can see the beaches there right along the southwest coast there. You can see the hillside on the top there. We will stop along the way, allow guests to walk out. But once again, this is really great for just, I would say, just for photography and taking in that fresh air. It's a circular route along the Wild Atlantic Way, and it connects actually to the town of Dingle, and it does just once again host a lot of different cliffs and different vantage points. The other choice that you can do is visit the Slayhead Blasket Center. This particular center showcases just the local heritage, the cultural aspects of the area. I believe there was a period of time it does talk about here. It does go over the struggle of that time period. It does showcase some of the language, the Gaelic that is still spoken here, actually. And I believe this was also kind of a surrounding area of many different movies. So I'm not sure if they talk about that, but this is more of a cultural historic center that will just showcase some of the local history. And then the other choice is just to have some free time for self exploration in Dingle if you're up for it. I think it might be a little bit too cold, but I've heard that there's famous ice cream that comes from this area. So if you want to whet your appetite with that, otherwise than that, it's a great opportunity to do some shopping and buy some nice little handcrafted items for yourself or your family and friends, especially because Christmas will be just a month away too from when we head back. Day 6, we're gonna head over to an Irish family's. So we'll be able to walk along the farm, and they do a sheep herding demonstration. That's always a big highlight. The dogs are. Guests absolutely love this. It's a great way for us to have some cultural immersion while we're on the trip. And then we're also going to head over to the Cliffs of Moher. If you've never seen this before, it's in many different travel magazines. If you ever look at Ireland, the cliffs are about 700 feet high, and they date back, I think, like over 300 million years ago, if you can imagine that. And they stretch about 5 miles. If you look dead in the middle of this photo, you'll see kind of the top left corner, there's that little tower. That tower is called O'Brien's Tower, and that marks the highest point on the cliffs. And we do get some guests who like to go over there and explore and kind of hang their legs over the cliff and take some shots. But it really is quite amazing. It's quite incredible, and we get a lot of shots of from the guests here. So we're going to end our day at Ennis. Ennis translates actually to I believe it's like Gaelic, and it translates to island, even though it's actually not an island. And we're going to have the evening to pretty much just have some self exploration or just kind of like settle in our hotel. So once again, if you have any bucket list items, or if there's anything that you would like to do, our director will be there to give you some recommendations. Now, in the evening, we do have another option that is available, and this is a medieval banquet dinner. If I could relate it, and any ever been to like medieval times here in Michigan, this will have be like that, but it will have a lot more authenticity. Hence, why we're in Ireland and not Michigan. Not like we had any medieval times in here in our country. And this, once again, is going to be about 4 hours. It's going to have people dressed up like lords and ladies, knights and damsels. You'll have a true medieval banquet. It's going to really just kind of bring it to life like a storybook here. And it includes a four-course meal, some wine. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of toasting from the king and queen, and overall, it's just a really fun time for the guests to be available. So I definitely recommend if you're interested in this, sign up sooner than later. It does tend to sell out, but it is available for purchase if you'd like to do it. One thing too that guests really are interested in going to Ireland, obviously, is just trying whiskey and learning a little bit about the roots of whiskey and the different flavors depending on the water elements, depending on the river that it comes from. We're going to take you over into a whiskey distillery and learn about that process. We'll even be able to try a little bit of whiskey ourselves during a tasting. If you don't drink whiskey or you're a person that doesn't drink alcohol, that's okay. We will have some coffee, tea, and water for available for those guests. But once again, this is really a big part of their culture, and we can learn just a lot of the cultural influences and the history here. So we're gonna continue our day actually at the Cabra Castle. This is our hotel that you as a guest will stay at. This is a huge highlight. It literally is a castle, and one of the unique features about this is no room that you stay at as a guest will be the same as your neighbor. Every single room will be different, so you truly will have a unique experience. It's a big highlight. In fact, I believe all of our Ireland tours have a castle stay, and this is the Cabra Castle that we're staying at. If you do want to learn a little bit more about this castle or the other accommodations, on the website that we have in the chat box, we have all of our accommodations listed there. We definitely encourage you to peruse through the amenities that are. But later on this evening, we're going to have a little farewell dinner. It's a great opportunity to exchange phone numbers, email addresses, and just have a nice little cheer before we head back home. So that concludes the main aspects of the tour. It is a little bit, once again, a shorter one compared to, I would say, our normal ones, which are about 10 days. This is more of an off-season tour. It's got far less crowds, much more of an intimate experience with the locals, and it's a really great winter program, I would say, for the price that we're going to. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here later. So I'm going to switch gears here and kind of go more behind the scenes, what's included. We do have a cancel for any reason insurance. I would strongly recommend you purchase not our insurance, purchase some insurance for protection. With our insurance, when you place down a deposit, you can cancel for any reason right up to the day before departure. We don't care what the reason is. You'll receive 100% of your money back, minus the cost of insurance, plus your cover for any sort of medical assistance, emergency evacuation, lost luggage, or any substantial delays. If you do have any sort of pre-existing conditions, let Steven know. And Steven, what I can do is I actually can send you over our policy with insurance that you can provide over to the guest. So any guests on here or viewing this, the recording, if you do travel with us, we automatically enroll you into our passport club. Part of our passport club is that you earn additional benefits when you travel with us again. So for example, if you travel on this trip and you decide to go on another trip within 2 years, first year you'll get 5% off the discount off the land costs. And then if you travel between that 13 and 24 months, you'll receive 3% off. And then it kind of goes up from there. So there's additional benefits with us. For example, if you travel with, I believe, 3 or more tours, we give you credits off in the option. So it's like $100 to $200 of credits that you can use for any sort of option that you would like to use on any future travel. Definitely would encourage all of you to take a look at your passports. If you don't have a passport, that's not uncommon. No worries. That's what's great about traveling. That's why we're here. We want to encourage you to go out and see the world. Make sure you get your passport. It does take a little bit of time to get that. Steven can help you out with that if you have any questions. Regarding visas, this is very important. Stephen, I'll send over some documentation for the guests. Uh, January 8th, actually about a week and a half ago, it was just ruled that we have to have an ETA, which is electronic, I can't remember, electronic something travel authorization if we're going into the UK. If we know our geography, obviously we know Ireland's not part of the UK. However, if we're even having a layover into the UK to London to get to Dublin, once we actually know who's traveling, then we might have to do this ETA. So I just want to preface it that there is a new visa that's in place to go into the UK, but Ireland's not part of the UK. However, if we are connecting in the UK, we still need to do that visa. So I'll send information over to Stephen to, if you want to read over the details and provide information instructions. I will say the visa process is only about 5 minutes. It only takes about 5 to 7 minutes to do, so it's really easy. This is something else you should be aware of. This is not going to affect us on this trip. However, Stephen and I are doing another presentation on Italy here pretty soon. So I would encourage all of you to go to ETIAS and look up the website. So during Trump's first election or first term, um, he pulled out the United States from UNESCO as well as I believe some funding in NATO, and the Schengen zone, the EU took a meeting. There's 5 different meetings that took place, and majority voted that Americans have to have a visa or to go anywhere into the reciprocity. So this is not implemented now, but we expect it to become implemented later on this year. So I'm just adding this slide to kind of plant the seed, just so you're not caught off guard that this is going to be happening in the future. So here is all the notes, all the need to knows about this trip. There's the dates at the top. There's the deposit amount. There's the insurance there listed. I didn't mention this earlier, but if you do want to go on this trip, Stephen and I have held seats for all of you. I can't remember how many seats we held, but this is a standard trip that goes up to about 44 passengers. So if you do want to go on this trip, I would encourage you to place down a deposit or insurance or both, and any money paid that you've made to us, you can cancel actually right up to the deposit due date, which is May 14th, and receive all your money back, including insurance. So the reason that we would encourage you to do that is because we have a limited amount of seats for this departure date, and that way you can guarantee your seat and then have up to May 14th and then get a full refund back, including insurance. Now, once we get past that May 14th date, more reason why to have insurance. That way you can cancel for any reason right up to the final, right up to the day before departure, and receive all your money back minus the cost of insurance. So that price right there that you see, that $27.79, that is everything. That's land, director, hotel accommodations, hometown pickup. It's pretty much everything except like tipping and any extra money that you want to spend. Um, it's a really great price. So hopefully you all sign up for it. And also to kind of whet your appetite a little bit more, Stephen and I kind of sat down because I had a special promo going on at that time of the booking. So this is a buy one, get one off airfare for you as a guest. So even more reason why to sign up. So if you are going with a partner or if you want to bring somebody else with you, they're going to get a free ticket to go for airfare. So that price, so $27.99 for the day, 50% off for a couple on top of that. It's a great deal. Like, these deals don't come very often, so we wanted to at least offer it to all of you. And that will be notated on the booking too, on your invoice from Steven. So I'm going to exit out of my slide, and I'm going to see if any of you have any questions for me. Or maybe Steven.
Can we get a
I
copy
don't
of
have
those slides?
Yes. Steven, I believe, I can't remember. I think maybe it was Emily. Somebody's recorded this. So we'll have the recording for you with all the slides there too.
Right,
Also, I believe the majority of this information is on the website. So if you go to the link, you'll see it there in the chat box. The whole itinerary for the tour is highlighted on the website. It'll give you a pretty good overview of all of the different stops and things that will be happening on the tour. All kinds of the options that you can add on at each of the stops. Those types of things can be all seen right on that website. And the
I'm sharing my
website can
screen here
be,
too to show them the website.
okay, great.
Yep.
Yeah, and the website can also be used for booking as well. So you can book directly right through the website and make that pretty easy for you.
Yep. All you have to do is click sign up now. If you see my screen, and it literally walks you through the whole process here. So you can insert your credit card, your password information, all that by just clicking here. And then Steven's information is right here. Here's all the hotels, my presentation, so that if you want, you can just Google search or internet search the information there. If you want the full itinerary, everything's right here for you too. You can print that off. And then the available options and what's included with descriptions are all listed right here too. Plus, for the policy for the insurance, it says click here. You can click there and it'll give you the information for the insurance. But everything on this presentation from a paper standpoint or digital is all on that website for you to peruse.
I have a hand up from Krista, and then I have another question in the chat box. So go ahead, Krista.
Hey, Stephen. I'm here with me and Dan are both here.
Okay.
Just a couple of questions. So the flights are covered. Do you guys book the flights for us? Or do we book it?
You want me to go?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you can go ahead.
Yeah. So the price that I had showed on my screen and also on the website, that does include international airfare out of Detroit. So that's taken care of. And not only does it include that, but we also include that hometown pickup to and from. And Stephen will have to coordinate where's a safe place or where we can do that. So essentially, we'll pick everybody up from a centrally located area. And then it also includes the transfers in country. So to get from the airport to the hotel at the beginning of the trip, and then at the end of the trip from the hotel to the airport to get back home, and also that pickup from the airport to get back to the centrally located area.
Okay, perfect. The other question I had was about passport. I have a government passport, but not a personal one. Do I need to get a personal passport?
Yes. Yes, you would need to have a personal passport.
Okay.
And I did have a question, this is Dan, accommodations for, like the tours, for an interpreter. I am hard of hearing, so I would, require that. So I was just wondering how we ask for that.
That's a great. I'm not sure the gentleman that asked that, but so Stephen actually has a special I don't know what the title of the document, but like special needs form, and we can notate that for you as a guest, and we can look into that. So that's why that
Sure.
form exists, so that we can make special accommodations, whether it be like physical needs or dietary needs. I know sometimes we get people with a variety of different, like maybe they're vegetarian or vegan, or I've even been on a trip to like Switzerland, my background photo, where we had a guest who had just came from like hip surgery, and she thought she was good enough. She let us know, and I just kind of sat back with her and took my time with her. So yeah, any sort of special needs, maybe you have sleep apnea, maybe you need to bring a sleeping machine with you. Stephen has a document for you. So I'm not sure the gentleman, the name that who asked that, but just let us know. We can look into it for you.
Awesome, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I do have one question. Some people do want to maybe go a little early or stay a little longer after. Are there pre and post night options, I'm assuming, as well?
Yes, there is pre only, not post. I coincidentally actually looked into that before this presentation. If they did want to stay post, Stephen, I'll lean on you to do that, but we can look into doing a pre, so I can tell you that. But I will say this, it doesn't hurt to ask. So if there's anybody that wants to do a post, let Steven know, and Steven just let me know, and I'll just ask. In the worst case, they can say no. But I know for sure we can do priest because we already have that contracted out. I just know that I don't see the post available as a selectable option, but I'll just ask.
Great.
I see the question in the chat here. It says, so flight costs are included. Yes, they are. And would it be departure out of the hometown airport? Yes, out of Detroit. The only thing on the website that I did not notice is that BOGO offer, that buy one, get one free offer. It's not on the website, but Steven knows about it. I know about it. We know about it internally, and I had it on my slide. So we'll be taking off your invoice. That is notated. What is the maximum group size for this trip? Yeah, so we'd have different brands for trips. This is considered a classic trip. This is going to go up to about 44 total passengers. So that's what we call a classic trip. Now, our motor coaches don't see it up to 44. They actually go up to probably closer to 60. So we never fill them up to the max. We always leave a little wiggle room to like get around the motor coach or stretch your legs, or maybe you want to seat on your own for different vantage points. Other than shopping type expenses, what out-of-pocket expenses should we expect? I would say gratuities for the driver, the director, or any local guides. Tipping for wait staff, that's all included. You don't have to worry about that. What I will do is I will send Steven a travel tip worksheet for this specific trip, and he can share that with all of you, and that will go over tipping guidelines. And then in addition to that, about, I would say, like 2 to 4 weeks prior to departure date, Stephen and I will probably set up like kind of a going away party or a going away event. So what will happen is we'll have physical documents that will be sent to, and Stephen will have to decide either send it directly to them or give to you to give to them. But either way, you'll have them. And inside those physical documents, there's going to be luggage tags, there's going to be name badges, there's going to be a booklet that's about 8 to like 12 pages, and it's going to have the full itinerary listed, currency, how to tip, adapters, electricity. I'll have the whole 9 yards in that booklet. And then during that meeting, we'll kind of review that together. And any last minute questions we can go over during that time too.
Travel tips are also on the bottom of the website. So there's a underneath all the pricing and everything, underneath the insurance there, it says travel tips. And then there's little plus buttons for accommodations, ADA, arrival day suggestions, clothing and packing tips. So all of those are also on the website, which is a great tool. One thing that I will mention is not all meals are included, but you'll see on the itinerary which meals are included. So there would be obviously additional costs there for those meals that are not included as part of the tour.
Great, thank you for pointing that out. I always forget about that, but yeah,
Yeah, that's okay.
physical copy that I would send to you would literally be this right from the website, and I just shared my screen again. So it's just travel tips, and you can scroll down. It's all listed there too. I have a question here. Can gratuities be paid with credit card or debit card? I just did a document review or going away event yesterday for South Africa, and they asked if they could pay by check. So unfortunately, tipping, we can't take credit card or debit card or check. It has to be paid by local currency, which is the euro in this case too. And then that's it. So great to be here. Thanks so much for allowing me to be here. I'm excited to get you guys all traveling the world again, and I'll see most of you in a few weeks for Italy, or maybe some of you.
All right, thank you, George, for the presentation today, and thank you everybody for attending, and definitely reach out to me. I'll put my email address and my phone number in the comments.